And hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mental Health, Mysticism, and Metaphysics Discussion with Mike Ray and Dr. Gil Tivon. We would like to welcome you all to this new series that we have, Metaphysical Sciences TV. As always, I'm your host for Metaphysical Sciences TV, Mike Ray. And today we are going to continue our studies on the applied mysticism and metaphysical sciences to healing different parts of our life. And today we are going to be talking about specifically using applied mysticism and metaphysics to heal. And helping us out through this discussion of healing through metaphysics will be our beloved teacher, Dr. Gil Tivon. So without further ado, we will be waiting for people to come into the virtual classroom, and then during the interactive portion, we will answer questions and open things up to discussion. Until then, we will introduce now our teacher, Dr. Gil Tivon, everybody. Dr. Gil Tivon.
So, the man of the hour, giving the power. Here we go ahead. I like the introduction. So thank you so much, Mike, and everyone who is our guest tonight that is right here. We made it half an hour earlier. Think about our friends on the East Coast. Otherwise, it's going to be too late, and I'm also available now. And so what we're going to really discuss tonight, first and foremost, a little bit of the definition. What does it mean practically? What does it mean spiritually, mysticism? So since this is the right channel and we're going to be using it and applying it into healing, first and foremost, we need to define what does it actually mean? How do we actually use it? And again, this is not a session or lecture in theory or theology, but this is very practical. How do we utilize this incredible science called mysticism and apply it to metaphysics to heal mentally, spiritually, emotionally, practically and physically different kind of aspects of our everyday in life. So first we want to settle for an accurate definition of what really is mysticism. As used and abused as the term is, we must clarify our thinking for the purposes of our understanding and applying it. We can state our definition in several different ways, realizing that they all describe the same essential thing. Now, what I'm going to say now is not redundant or synonyms, but different kind of avenues, different kind of perspectives of how we can use mysticism and apply it towards our lives, our lifestyle, our healing, our health, our relationship, our growth, our evolution, personal evolution, any other aspect of our lives. So first and foremost, what is mysticism? Firstly, mysticism is an advanced state of inner enlightenment. Again, it's an advanced state of inner enlightenment that we have. B, it's a union that we have spiritually with the physical reality that we face in this world. So it's both an inner enlightenment as well as a union with the reality. C, it's a state of genuinely satisfying success. Again, success is not something which is objective and we can count the number of dollars attached to it, but success is very subjective. For one, for a stay-home mom that will be having a kids and grow up a kids, that will be the $1 billion she has at home. For somebody else that might have a monetary value attached to it. For somebody else will be going through their own enlightenment, or for a fourth person, it might be graduating from the sought after S-O-U-G-H-T, sought after degree that they worked so hard for many years. So it's a genuine, satisfying success. The next level is insight into an entirely new world of living. So when we were born, I was very happy to play in the sandbox at my late mom's kindergarten. But I think if you put me today in my suit in the sandbox, I won't find any satisfaction doing because I've grown up. And I must share with you that I've seen only 2-3 days ago a beautiful story that happened recently in a certain family of children all ages, where the 5-year-old came home crying by virtue of not being allowed into the sandbox. His brother, who is 13, 14 years of age and going from elementary school to high school, laughed and scoffed at him and said, well, that's not really something that you should cry about. I've got really growing pains when I have to now face new friends in a new high school, and I don't know how to manage. That's really challenging. Then the elder brother, who's 20, laughed at both of them and scoffed and said, well, I'm now dating, and in that dating, one of the girls that are dating actually dumped me. And it's really a source of aggravation and a heartache, and I'm so broken. And then the eldest brother, who's already married at 25 with kids, said, well, none of you are going through any kind of challenges. I'm going through really challenges with my kids when they wake up in the night, and I have to take care of I am the major breadwinner, and they're going through different illnesses. So every age in life brings different challenges. So what we're talking about tonight is very practical, but the reality that we face can be seen objectively, but it will always be about our subjective perspective and reaction of how do we respond to that. So that's insight into an entirely new world of living, of how do you live, how do you see life? What is the mindfulness that you have about it? What is your point of observing? What is your point of awareness when you go through life? You can be a set of friends going through the same thing. Most will see the world in a very realistic, superficial way, and one will be deeper and more spiritual and more mystical, and will see the same experience as a growing lesson. That's what I'm talking about. And then even more than that, an intuitive grasp of the truth. So when you listen to your heart, when you pay attention and you pause and you observe life, what intuitive grasp do you have of the truth that you're able to fathom, that you're able to understand for what you're going through, and understand that intuitivity is far beyond our intellectual reasoning. It's not 1 and 1 equals 2. When you date somebody, when you love somebody, it's got nothing to do with the cash flow that they have in the bank. Hopefully not. It's a state of your heart. When you feel comfortable in somebody's company, when they made a good impression on you, it's not a question of accountability when it comes to logical brain. Things that don't always add up, it's got to do with listening deeply to your heart. It's being intuitive and grasping truth through this intuitive self. It's very subjective. It's a journey that you take on it by yourself, but it's very truthful, and that is your truth. And last but not least, for now, a personal experience in which we are happy and healthy human beings. In other words, the same situation can be seen in a very devastating way, or you can understand what is God, what is the universe trying to teach me as a learning pang of growing up through this very lesson I'm going through. For example, a woman giving birth. Well, any man that will try to go through birth, as recently 2 men tried to go through birth, parents with electrodes on them to break the Guinness Book of Records, weren't able to go for more than 20 minutes of birth pangs, whereas a woman takes it for 10 hours, 16 hours and longer. And if you ask her, what are you doing? And, you excruciating pain. And any woman will say, I will never do it again, but she does. The reason is because those pains are actually pains of giving birth to a whole new life. And the pleasure and the reward and the relationship that is formed after you give birth are so much bigger, the expectation and the reward, than the pains that you have to go through that. If you go through the pains of growing a little seed, when it pushes its way all the way up, breaks through the soil and comes and creates a beautiful plant, and later on a beautiful tree bearing fruits, it's all our birth pangs, which are very, very difficult and challenging. Nevertheless, the results outgrow so much the pains that it's worthwhile to go through them. So a very mature, healthy outlook will be, what am I going through must be really, really very wonderful for me to go through, because God is not wasting my time. The universe is not punishing me. There's no punishment here, but it's growth. When I'm going to come to the other side, I'll be so much of a deeper, bigger human being. Now, this describes genuine mysticism, the points that I've listed, and let's just summarize them in short. One is inner enlightenment. Secondly is union with reality. Third is a state of genuinely satisfying success. Fourth is insight into a new world of reality that we're living in. And number 5 is intuitive grasp of the truth far beyond, thank you, Mike, of our intellectual understanding. And last but not least is the personal experience where we feel happy and healthy as human beings to grow through this. Now, I understand that this seems to be nice and clean and clear, but pseudo-mysticism seeks to evade reality. Authentic mysticism, however, wants to live it because it is real. It ultimately bears the fruits of love, of understanding, of compassion within every one of us. It does not do it with counterfeit claims resulting in individual turmoil and worldwide calamity. No. Fraudulent mysticism gives rise to self-deception, neurosis, unhealthy emotionalism, addictions, all kind of extremities, feelings of suicide and others are concerned with intelligent, normalcy, wholesomeness, happy, healthy way of life. So an authentic mystic is the sanest of the sane of people. As Adolf Tennyson credits him with absolute clearness of mind. You have consciousness with you, you've got absolute mindfulness, you've got an awareness of the here and the now. If you're walking along that path already, you should know that you're going to a very, very beautiful place, and we all want to join hands with you and walk that direction with you. The mystical path is bright and very cheerful. Even if something goes wrong, the mystic man or woman remains peaceful. It's like a perched bird who feels the branch give away. So why worry? The bird has wings. So the reason why a bird sits on a branch and is not afraid, not because the branch is strong, no, because it trusts its own wings that if the branch will fall, if the branch will break and will fall to under her or under it, rather, it's got the power and the strength to fly. And I saw something beautiful, one of the philosophers in Europe, which says as follows. He says, and I put in the middle of my prayer book, so much I took it to heart. He says, his first name is, he's the professor of philosophy, Adi Cohen. So he writes as follows. He says, let me translate it from that language that he wrote it with. And he says like this. He says, our capability makes us grow wings, and our ambition allows us to fly. Again, our ability and capability allows us to grow the wings with which to fly. But our inner motivation, that's what makes us actually fly away. So we need both. Very interesting. So it is a philosophical. So this is the question. What are we doing when we're learning over here? What is the path? What is the underlying perspective that we're going through? Is it philosophical or psychological or religious? Well, it is all the above and also none of the above. For these are only verbal descriptions, philosophical, psychological, religious. It makes no difference what and how you label it, or where you label it or not. Reality is far beyond words. You can think of the mystic path as a spiritual journey. So what we're doing tonight, we're starting to go and to walk together a spiritual journey, or if you like, means of enrichment of your life and have a purposeful life. Some of the teachers of and systems of mysticism, right, such as Meister Eckhart and others, right, others who are also in the Zen, some in Kabbalah, that there's over 5,000 years, says as follows: stop wasting your time with theological speculations. Forget the fancy phrases that are supposed to indicate spirituality. Whatever the words mean, get down to business with yourself. Find out why your life is such a mess, wherever you find yourself in life right now. And I'm sure each one of us has got lots of challenges. Right, I come after a long day now today in the clinic, etc. I can't share with you the atrocities and mess that people have found themselves in their life, not to do with them putting this. Sometimes the victims of very terrible circumstances, which I can't share. The ears already popped to hear such atrocities. In our day and age, here in where I live in Arizona, and I'm sure it's everywhere around the world. So get down to business. Find out why your life is such a mess and clear it away. What am I saying here? I'm saying a very beautiful truth. And that is the following. The Holy Baal Shem Tov, believed some 300 years ago, said as follows. Everything we see in life is a projection of our inner self. Again, our journey in life and everything we experience in our life. Our parents, our siblings, our loved ones, our significant others, our health, our spiritual growth, our journey in life to the smallest details are all a projection of our inner self. So when you ask, God, why did you forsake me, as King David says in Psalms? Why is my life such a mess? Why do people do me in such a way? And the answer is no. The answer is this is only a projection of myself. Sometimes I'm too much of a goodie. Sometimes I like to appease people so much that I gave myself away, that I surrendered whoever I am. I didn't ask for love. I didn't think that I deserved to be loved. I didn't think I deserve respect. Not because you're vicious and evil, because you're too good. And maybe sometimes not standing your own ground. That is the reason why your life looks this way, or your health. So the answers will always come from within, on any level. Also, even on a physical basis of physical ailment. If you have such an ailment, yes, there can be all kind of medications out there, but if there aren't, the answer is hell no, there is not such a word as there aren't. It is, and the answers will be found from your inner journey into yourself, sometimes spiritual mentors that deal with it, to understand spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and practically and physically what is the underlying cause of what you're going through now. And once you find it, clear up that mess and stop living life in such a way and stop fooling around and get to the point and let's get our life in shape, in order, starting to Nana. If I take an airplane from the United States to Europe or anywhere else around the world, Japan or anywhere else, so you can catch me already on the way in and you ask me, Gil, where are you going? So I'm going overseas. I'm going to the eastern countries in the Far East. But you didn't even embark the airplane. So, but I got the tickets. I'm going to get in about 16 hours. And I'm very thrilled about my journey. Look at life in such a way. Nobody asked you to get there. Just embark the airplane, embark that flight, embark the journey. Start walking that path. Walk the walk. Talk the talk. Talk the walk. Start walking along the journey of wanting to get yourself healed, wanting to get your life in shape on all levels. Take one thing at a time. Don't amass too much on your plate. Right now is your health. Let's make this in order. Try to find the underlying cause. Listen to yourself. Meditate. Pause. Observe. Meditate. Listen to your inner intuition. What do you think is the reason for it? What do you think it is? What kind of commitment can you make between you and God, you and the universe, you and your life, to make a change? And sometimes, as we said, it's completely, above logic. It doesn't have to be logical, the solution. But once you apply yourself, you will find solution. There are many people that walk this earth, like Dr. George Dispenza and many others that I know personally, that shouldn't have been around here at all. That should have been broken vessels, should have been victims, should have been in an asylum, but I decided not to. There's an incredible woman that lives in Europe. She wrote a PhD in educational psychology, where she took 100 celebs, which I'm going to share one with you about this now, that they had terrible, terrible lives, terrible circumstances, should have been around at all. And nevertheless, they made it to the highest levels because they understood how to transform the very poor circumstances, financially, mentally, from the family perspective, from life's challenges, and turn it around to be a real success story. They didn't know the outcome, but they're prepared to make the first step, and every day is one step in your life where you can move forward, trusting yourself, trusting God, trusting the process of making it through, even when circumstances are not very supportive, and you weren't born with a golden teaspoon in your mouth, not in Washington, D.C., not with very rich parents, not very healthy, not very wealthy, and nevertheless, you made it. And again, success is completely subjective. It's from where you're holding. Don't compare yourself to other people. One of the worst things of our generation is comparing ourselves, especially when you watch the social media and Netflix. I'm not as handsome as Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm not as pretty as her. I'm not as tall. I'm not as smart. I'm not as rich as Elon Musk, etc. Stop comparing. Look at yourself, at your humble beginnings, and make strides, make steps every day to be a better version. Say, am I a better version of myself, not from yesterday, from 10 weeks ago, 1 year ago? And if the answer is yes, well, sir, well, ma'am, you're doing very, very well. I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of you. And when you do that, you're very proud of yourself. Never call yourself in bad words. Don't say yourself, I'm an idiot. I'm a loser. I'm stupid. I'm a no good. I don't deserve to be loved. There is no such thing. We're all direct children of God. He, in his infinite wisdom, made you unique and so special to him that nobody in this world can do what you. I can't do what you do. I don't have your depth. I don't have your qualities. I don't have your uniqueness. I can't, if I lived 1,000 years on this earth, I can't do 1 day of your life. You can do it best. You serve humanity. You serve God. You serve yourself. And when you find that self by spending time with you, you rise and shine. And that rise and shine doesn't have to make headlines and be at Oprah and Ellen DeGeneres. It doesn't have to be. It has to be that you look at the mirror at the end of the day and say, I'm so proud of me. I thank me, I love me, and I forgive me for what I've gone through and how many strides am I making to move forward in my life. That's our first part. Take a step, and we're going to carry on, and I'm going to definitely leave you also time. If anyone is there also now, listening now, and you want to write to the chat your questions, Mike is going to share with us later on as we move along with our session lecture for tonight. So, the miraculous message of mysticism. Moving forward, no conflict exists between mysticism and any kind of established religions anymore. There's a disagreement between several lecturers who describe the same sunrise. You know, we can all watch the sunrise or sunset, and each one of us can be a poet or a writer or a musician, and will tell a different story completely about the same objective reality. In the same way, each religion has its own outlook on life. So, in the spiritual way, there is no right and wrong there. I know from my humble experience in life, and I have people that are my friends from all walks of life, all cultures, all religions, and we love each other very dearly. Beliefs cannot be changed. Religions, very difficult, if not impossible to change. So be happy for now with what you have. It can be challenged on a theological basis, but practically, it's part and parcel of how you were born. And from wherever you are, from wherever you're holding, from whatever walk of life, it makes no difference to color, your gender, your walk of life, your culture, your humble beginnings, your religion. Start from there and you can walk the mystic's path. Because that path we all share. As the great William James, one of the giants amongst American psychologists, William James, harmonized religion and mysticism, where he says as follows, I'm quoting from him, it's very short, personal religious experiences has its roots and center in mystical states of consciousness. Again, personal religious experience has its roots and center in mystical states of consciousness. When you find within you the spiritual sanctuary, when you find that you suddenly are in direct confrontation or dialogue with God, with the eternal being, that is that moment where you say, wow, my life is transformed. And that's the mystic path. Wherever you like, you can look at the butterfly. You can look at a blade of grass. You can look at a leaf. And you can see just a leaf, a falling, wriggling leaf. Or you can say, wow, what a mystical, spiritual experience I'm having through this leaf. Depends on where you're holding and how much you're prepared to open yourself and see. So I think I should be, that's what I'm still quoting him, William James, one of the brilliant psychologists in America today. He says, I think I should at least succeed in convincing you of the reality of the state in question and of the paramount importance of the function of mystical states. And he says that's the commonality between all of us. Makes no difference which part, which religion, which culture, which tradition you come from. So all religions have produced enlightened men and women. We speak about Mahatma Gandhi, who was a lawyer in South Africa and was later on the leader of 800 million people who left an incredible mark on humanity, on me as well. We speak about Nelson Mandela, who sat for more than 2 decades in prison, in a singular cellar in Cape Town, right, where I was part of my growing up, and made an incredible impression on many, many hundreds and millions of people around the world. We speak about many, many others, about Jeff Kennedy and many others. So all these mystics, whether they live in India or whether they live in America, whether they dress modernly, whether they dress in such a way that you feel that they really look like mystics from Krishna from India, right? Truth is in all. Truth is in all because it's stripped off the religion and stays with the higher connection, the spiritual connection to the high, to the eternal, to the supreme consciousness. Mysticism is not this or that particular cup on the table. It is the water which is poured into all the cups. Again, mysticism is not a particular cup on the table. Judaism, Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, etc. No, it is the water which is being poured into all of them and therefore stripped of its religious label. It is enough to conclude that any man or woman who sincerely treads the mystical path in his own way will sooner or later meet that something else or someone else which is beyond your definition. What then is the miraculous message of mysticism? We dig in. So it says as follows: happiness is yours in the here and now. Happiness is yours in the here and now. The painful states of anxiety, of stress, of fear, of loneliness, of wanting to numb the pain, to run away from life, are abolished permanently once you start to walk the mystical path. And again, we don't have to arrive at faraway New Zealand and Australia. Just embark the aeroplane in USA, in New York, Eastern Coast or West Coast. Once you're on the flight, it will get you there in time to be. Just have the thrill and have the courage and the inner strength to go on through that journey. And now that we all are here with me, we're embarking together on the journey, and I've got a pilot and co-pilot and a captain, and we're going to be just fine. Financial affairs are not financial problems. Again, financial affairs, don't make them into financial problems. And who wasn't, who isn't in financial problems after the COVID in United States, in the Western world, right? You are at ease with yourself once you walk the mystical path. Again, we do not change your life. We do not take you out of your job. We do not run away from your relationship. We do not say and bury our head like ostriches that you don't have a health issue. No, we just have a different mindset and a path and a journey that we're walking along, and therefore those problems don't seem to be problems anymore. You're at ease, you've got a calmness, you've got a restful mind with yourself going through the same journey. You are not at the mercy of unfulfilled cravings. Addictions, drugs, cigarettes, alcohol, shopaholic, workaholic, anything holic at the end of it, that's a craving. We don't have to be at the mercy of these cravings anymore. Confusion is replaced with clarity. There is a relieving answer to every tormenting question. I know many of my clients, patients, friends that sometimes really went off track completely, or changed their religion, or lost their mind because of a tormenting question in the mind. It cannot be, and therefore I'm not religious. I don't believe. I don't want to live. I don't want to stay in my marriage. That doesn't have to be. So tormenting question, there will always be an answer if you're prepared to listen to it. I will share with you something small that will make it more palatable to you and tasteful. I met a man when recently I was out of state. I met a man who's much older than me, who started his path in life as a very believing man. He's an artist. His wife is a great artist, world-renowned. And they share a few beautiful children. And one of which, I'm not going into details, that not to, of course, divulge personal details about him. At the age of 37, one of his children, the age of 37, who was married, passed away of cancer. Now, this devastated the man, who's a very sensitive soul, very believing man, an artist at his heart and soul, great creator, and he fell out of faith completely. Cannot be that a wonderful, merciful, compassionate, loving God will allow my son, my beloved son, to die. And therefore, out of this tormenting question, he lost heart and he lost faith. I helped him. What about the 6 million people that lost their life in the Holocaust? What about 40 million people that lost their lives in the Second World War, and in Africa, and in India, and in monsoons, and everywhere around the world, in Ukraine right now? That's not his problem. His problem is his son, and therefore he lost faith. Now, the truth of the matter is I wasn't able to give him the right answer because that would have been too shocking for him, because he wasn't ready for it. All I did was embrace him and say to him that I really understand him, and I understand his anger, his frustration, and the fact that he should be at acceptance of the fact that the most terrible thing in his life did happen, and embrace it. That's the first stage. But the real answer, which is enlightening, and that's the mystical path, is as follows. Understand. Let's go deeper. Who gave you life? God. Was that a happy moment when you were born? Oh, it was so happy. If everything was rosy in your life, would you be happy with God? Of course. When there are snags along your life, you're very angry at him. In other words, we expect to get only the good. We do not expect to get anything bad, because God is good. But the truth is, who brought bad into your life? Bad, comparatively. And the answer is, even though it's a shocking answer, I'm speaking to myself, because I must have gone through some hardship in my life, and I did. And the answer is yourself. If there's anything harsh in my life, if there's anything not right in my life, I don't tend to go and say, God, it's your fault. I'm angry at you. I don't believe in you anymore. But I say he's got nothing against me. He is the source of good. He's just good by definition. It's me whose my actions perverted my clear path to create, or corrupted my real path to create these problems. So the only thing I need to do is redirect myself, rechannel myself back to the right path. I shouldn't turn a blaming finger at God or the universe. I should turn a blaming finger at myself, not to punish myself or hate myself or reject myself, but rather something that I've done was wrong, sometimes too good, and other people abused it. That can also be true. And let me redirect and recorrect my direction in life in order to find the path. There is no such thing as conventional medicine does not agree with what I say. Conventional medicine says, well, you're doomed. I'm very sorry. For illness, there is no cure. You're going to die. Let's count down. 10, 9, 8, done. Gone. Now, there is no such thing. God is good. He didn't leave you in the lurch. He didn't leave you in the dark. There'll always be a light in the middle of the tunnel, wherever you're holding, whatever problem you have, whether it's addictions, whether it's terrible ailment, whether it's terrible financial situation, whether it's terrible relationship problem. There must be a way out in a very deep, mystical way to sort things out and bring your life back to the path, because that means that God is good. He didn't send you to crush you, to break your spirit, to nullify you, to wipe out your life. There is no such thing. God is good, and therefore He will show you the path, and it's not going to happen just through prayer. Prayer is wonderful and great and necessary, but you also must be a partner with God in your life. Take action, take charge of it. Like when your baby is crying, say, well, let me pray, and they know the child is going to die. You have to feed the guy or the girl. The same with you. You have to take charge of your life. Do whatever, and if you don't know how, there are people out there, integrated medicine, or people that are spiritual enough, that have taken that path before you, that can help you to really guide you back to a safe haven, a safe shore, where you can get your life straight again. This is what we're talking about. This is very important. So this is one of the, it's not the greatest, but it's one of the greatest secrets on earth. That what? That sometimes you can really, really be done about everything unhappy condition, while you can turn it around, transform it, and make peace with your life and transform it to a very, very happy life. And that is practical mysticism. This is one of the greatest secrets on earth. Unfortunately, it's a secret hidden from the eyes of most men and ladies, but it is available now to all. Anyone who really wants it can have it. Never forget, you are following all of this for your own sake. If you want to be a healer, if you want to be a therapist, if you want to be a doctor, whether it's more the logical left brain or more the intuitive and right brain and holistic brain, right, like we do in my clinic, and therefore always, right, it's going to start with yourself. I cannot heal anyone if I don't first heal myself. I cannot love anyone if I'm not in a healthy, positive way. Love myself. I'm not talking about a narcissistic way, but in a healthy, positive way. Self-respect, self-worth, self-value, and understand your uniqueness. Your purpose, along with the mystical path, is a very personal one. The objective of every seeker is to become an enlightened, happy, pleasant, well-balanced, and grounded human being. It's not just getting out of your body, experience, and going out there. It's nice, we know how to do it, but that's what it's all about. Again, it's about living here, enlightened, happy life, and transforming your physical life into spiritual, and bring the spiritual into the physical, and matching both of them together, and being happy and celebrating life every day with a big, happy, real inner smile. So let's just go a little bit into this for a few minutes, for you to feel that we're making some steps, positive steps into it. So millions of people around the earth assume that it is enough to seek the truth. To seek the truth. The truth will set us free. But it's not enough. I'm talking about after reading the Bible many times. So the truth is not enough to seek the truth. Truth is great. But it's not enough just to seek the truth. It is essential to seek the truth in the right way. It's not only the truth, but in the right way. We saw people from other kind of religions and cultures who were thinking they are seeking the truth, destroy the Twin Towers, terrorists. So they thought they were seeking the truth. The wrong way, completely the wrong way. No way. The Holocaust proves some people think they have the truth, but they destroy the world, right? The right way starts with the right frame of mind, with simple receptivity. Everything depends upon the way we take the truth, the path, the way we take the truth. No other mystical point is more important than that. It's not the truth, it's the way you take the truth. It's not what you say, It's how you say it to your spouse, to your loved one, to your children, to your friends, to whoever, to yourself. The seed must fall on fertile ground, not on rocky mountains. Every day, the mind understands and distorts mystical principles. Non-action is a good example. Non-action. Panicky people exclaim, but we must do something about it. It's foolish to sit around and do nothing about it, right? It misses the point entirely. Mysticism explains that a panicky person is like a passenger on a reliable ocean liner. The passenger races furiously towards the deck in order to get himself to port. How seriously is it going to really help? So if he would stop his panic attention, he would do the right thing, which is calmly see that he need not do anything but let the ship carry him to safe port. Some inquirers are apt to think that mystical teachers dwell on some sort of an ivory tower, having no contact with realities in the harsh world. No notions are, and those such notions are quickly dispelled by reading about the early lives of teachers like Augustine and Count Tolstoy, who we meet later, and we will speak about them later. The difference between the mystic and his critic is this: the mystic has met and conquered the harsh world. He has met, he knows, and he conquered the harsh world, while the skeptic is still punished by it, and as I said before, sometimes it's self-punishment. It's lack of knowledge. When a teacher is accused of knowing nothing about the everyday world, he reflects upon his own former business struggles, his previous interactions with people, his own intensely hard work at self-liberation. When accused, he thinks of it all, smiles, and says nothing. Because sometimes to get the safe port, you just sit back and enjoy the ride, and there's nothing needs to be said or done because you don't get your approval from other people. You will always seek the real approval is from yourself. If you depend on what other people say about you, or the approval, then you become subjugated, addicted to what other people think about you. Try to have your own self-healthy, positive outlook and perspective on yourself. When the man discovers this new self, he also breaks the habit, for man's essential self is jailed by nothing. And I will end up with a beautiful book that came out recently. The name of the doctor, she's in the 90s, 90 plus. Her name is Dr. Edith Eger. She's a person who as a child was in the Holocaust. And today she's already in 1995. And she wrote a book called Choice. It's an incredible book that is a bestseller that arrived at Oprah Winfrey's show. And in that book, she describes an autobiography also, what she's been through. And the highlight of this book is as follows. I will save you the highlight of the book by telling you what she said like this. It took me 5 years to be in the physical Holocaust. It took me 40 years to save myself and get away from our own personal Holocaust imprisonment. We imprison ourselves, we cage ourselves. Set yourself free. Thank you so much. Right. And let's see if we have any questions for Mike or anyone else, and then we're going to call it a night. Mike, any questions that you might have, what you have heard?
Well, it looks like our virtual classroom at the moment is empty, unfortunately, although we did have a couple people dropping by, and we do have a couple questions, one of which goes back to something we were saying a couple weeks ago about discovering your true and authentic self. And the question is, how does one go about finding their true authentic self in a world where there are so many different paths to find yourself?
Right. This is a wonderful question. And again, the question comes, if you listen carefully to the question with the subtext of it underlying, saying, well, we listen to so many truths around us anyhow. We compare ourselves to so many other religions, cultures, traditions, ways, opinions, that we get so confused that we don't know who is our authentic self. But if you listen to yourself as to a child who is a toddler, or max at the age of 5, they will know exactly what to know about their life. They will know about the dreams. They will know about the dreams to be. They will know about the inner wishes, because they listen to in the here and now to who they really are. They're not interested. They don't care about other people's opinions so much. As we grow older, we start with the comparisons. We really get confused. So if you isolate yourself a little bit, pause and observe with yourself, listen to your higher self, listen to your inner intuition, and understand, what am I very good at? What is my passion? What makes me tick? What is my passion? What is my drive in the everyday? What is like drugs, positive drugs for me that I don't want to go to sleep? What is my self-motivation, right? That I've really tried. Not something that we're not talking about Netflix, we're not talking about drugs, we're not talking about watching shows. We're talking about what is that you are star at, where your real talent lies. Now, most of us, if we go along what I just described now, the outline, we'll get to some kind of a beginning kind of answer. If you don't, you're always welcome to approach spiritual mentors and others that will have a set of tools, and I've developed a set of tools for many, many years from all kind of mysticism and Kabbalah, etc., to help you find that direction and answer, which sometimes is very challenging. And again, at every age that you are, every 5 or 10 years, that might upgrade itself. What you wanted at 20 might not be what you wanted at 30 or 40 or 50, etc. So try and first and foremost do some work with yourself. Ask yourself questions. What do you love about yourself? What is that you want to serve? How is that you want to serve? Who do you want to do it for? And with those questions, you might be able to really find and strike an inner chord within you to help you find that direction to start with. Thank you. Any other another question, Mike, before we call it today, or a night rather?
I don't think we have any other questions that apply to this particular podclass. However, we do have a lot of questions relating to Thursday's classes, the Kabbalah classes.
You can ask from the old question. Go ahead.
Okay, so and this, I believe, relates to mysticism, because a lot of mystics out there who might be watching this, or people who are just, now trying to dive into mysticism, will know that the Hebrew language holds a very strong mystic value to it, and that it has a spiritual component or metaphysical component to it that is not of this world, so to speak. And in your class, I believe last week, or a couple weeks ago, you were speaking about how all languages are, they all have their own, intricacies and everything to them. But the Hebrew language is special because it comes from the divine, it comes straight from the tongues of angels. So the question in regards to this was, how do we know for a fact that the Hebrew language is the divine language, and it's not a different angelic language that we cannot even pronounce?
Right, very good question. So I will give you two, there are a million answers, but I will give you two which are two of the most important answers that I have researched and heard myself. One, there's a study done in Europe recently about this question, where scientists and computer experts took letters from different kind of languages around the globe, around the universe, around this earth, and have tried to make sound movement and shapes out of the actual shape of that letter, A, B, C. So when I put it out there into a special process, which is computerized digital technology, which I know less about, so every language gave a different shape completely to every sound of a letter. So A did not manifest in the spiritual world a shape of a letter A. In Russian or in German or in Chinese or in Japanese or in any other kind of language that we know, the letters that we utter them the way that we do, with experts that know how to say them correctly, right, in the literature kind of language, did not give the same shape of the letter when it comes to transforming the letter from its being expressed to the way that it comes out on a computer. The only letters, and I have this study somewhere, I must find it and I will send maybe Mike a snapshot of it. The only letters where we utter them and the spell and they come out in a shape-wise, the same way as the original, are only in the sacred Hebrew. In other words, when I say Aleph, like Mike kindly put it out there, when I say Aleph and I put it through a computer system of sounds, the shape that comes out into the world is exactly that shape of Aleph. But if you say an A or Alpha in Greek, or in any other kind of language that you know, it does not shape that letter. That proves that that language is divine, because the actual natural signature of that letter is the way you say it, the way that it comes out spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. That's one. Secondly, and again, without treading on anyone's respect or honor with any language that's being spoken, nothing is being said about comparing to others, but we're just speaking to understand factually how it works. When I say a name, whether it's, for example, Mike. Mike is a very nice name, but, for example, the host and friend Mike, it's just a name. Gil can also sound like a name, and James and John and all these names are just names. They are rigid names that are given, but it doesn't have to have an inner meaning. However, if I translate Mike to the original in the Hebrew, it's a biblical name. It's one of the archangels, who is Michael. And that in the original Hebrew has got an incredibly multifaceted meaning. Again, James does not have a meaning to it except from the word James, which is a wonderful name. But it doesn't have a deeper meaning except from the emotional attachment of the parents to the name James. But in the Hebrew, or Mike. But when I say Michael, except from being an archangel's name, it's got a deeper meaning of it, which means who is like you amongst all the angels? God, comma, God. God. In other words, Michael is Micha, who is like you, comma, God, who are completely unique amongst all the archangels that you have formulated or created. Gil means just Gil, but you go to the Hebrew, to the Bible or the Torah, it says Gil means prayer, hope, and inner joy. It's got a deeper meaning, and so we go with a name of a cow in English. A cow is a cow. Why? Because it's a cow. Does the name cow give you any deeper meaning? Why should a cow look like a cow? It doesn't. But in the Hebrew, when you say cow, para, it actually formulates the shape, the physical shape of that cow. There's a deeper meaning to every object, everything that we do when we use the formal, sacred Hebrew language. It's far beyond just rigid attachment of a word, a title, a label to something, because so we have decided humanly. But it's got a deeper level. Why does a cow look like this? Or a horse, for example, the word horse in Hebrew, in English horse, beautiful horse. Why is it called a horse? Why is a cow not a horse? We don't know. It's just a rigid name given to it. Right? It's an arbitrary kind of random kind of human decision to call it a horse. To go into the Hebrew, sus in Hebrew means something which is very confident upon himself to using his powers. He moves from place to place. He shows movement. He shows spirit. The actual word for a simple animal shows its spiritual inner essence and shape when it comes to the Hebrew. So each letter is the spiritual atom. Each word, each noun that is formed or a verb, it creates a molecule which moves that direction in such a way. So it's incredible. It's mind-blowing to understand. We know that till today in India, with all due respect to my Indian friends, which I love very much, many people still bow down to the sun. And the sun is the sun, S-U-N. However, only in the Hebrew, the word for sun is Shemesh, which means it is the servant of God. Now, imagine that 5,000 years ago, when all the world is paganistic, and the Bible in its very onset, in the first few verses of Genesis, says, Shemesh. It's a servant. Servant to whom? So when the whole world is bowing down to the sun, where Christianity says only 200 years ago, and pursued Galileo Galilei at the stake for saying that the world is heliocentric and the sun is just a star out there, and the world does not revolve around the earth, and comes the Bible, the Torah, and tells us 5,000 years ago that the sun is just a servant of whom? It bows down to God. That's mind-boggling, that the actual name explains its function. It's just a little torch of God up there in the sky. Incredible. So that's why it's a holy language, because it describes inner ancestry, reads to us inner truth, and it's frightening once you understand it. You are in awe. You are in awe from a simple word like the sun, the actual deeper meaning of it. And I just touched on one, but there are many more to understand. So whether you have a name or so, try to research what's the deeper meaning in the Bible. Then you'll find one of your missions. The name is not only a name that I was given, it's a mission that shows what you came for. Mike, our friend Michael, his function is to advertise and sanctify God's name everywhere in the world through his music, through his writing, through very, very talented, bright individual. But those things that he was given are given by God-given gifts for him to rise and shine with it and make a connection with God through that. But he's unique in that. What is yours? What is yours? And different Michaels will have around the world different functions, but they'll all be very sensitive. They'll all be in the way of spiritual mentors, because in the Hebrew, Michael's geometrical value is 101. 1 plus 1 is 11, which is the master number, a person that was born to be a master, a spiritual master. So this is not random. It's not rigid. There's deeper, beautiful, sacred meaning. And when a person was given that, we told that parents are giving a name to a child. It's a prophecy that the parents have in the mouth that God gave them to choose Michael to be called Michael and not Raymond or something else. Thank you so much, Mike. It was a pleasure talking to you as always. And hopefully we'll see each other this coming Thursday at 7 p.m., which is usually the time, right, in Kabbalah class. We're going to start to discuss also the different kind of modalities of the meridians that join all the Etz Chaim together. We're going to really have fun with it, understanding the path of life in the journey. And I believe that the Monday classes on the one hand and the Kabbalah classes, those people that listen to all of this, they're really going to take away lots of treasures with them and walk together with us on this mystical, metaphysical path of growth. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being with you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gil Tivon, and everyone else who watched us. Thank you very much. I am going to just pull up on the screen right now Dr. Tivon's contact information for anybody who would like to reach out to him. His email is giltivon@gmail.com. And you guys could find him on social media, Gil Gershon Tivon. If you would like to book a one-on-one session with him or have any questions for him, feel free to reach out to him. Also, if anybody has any questions for me personally, you guys could reach out to me on Instagram, Facebook, or if you guys haven't already, please subscribe to Metaphysical Sciences TV on YouTube. Make sure to hit the bell for notifications on new videos. When new podclasses will be released, you guys will get notifications, be the first ones to be notified. And be sure to follow the Mental Health, Mysticism, Spirituality, and Metaphysics Facebook group on Facebook. And you will be getting even more posts and articles and updates, plus all the posts of the uploaded replays from these podclasses. So if you were not able to catch them live, you guys could always catch the replays. And as Dr. Gil Tivon mentioned, we will have the Thursday podclasses, Inner Secrets Revealed, Kabbalah class with Dr. Gil Tivon, which will resume this Thursday at 7 p.m. Arizona time, which would now translate after Daylight Savings Time into 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So be sure to check your time schedules and check for the differences to make sure you guys could be there. We hope to see you all there, and we thank you again for sticking with us through another episode of Metaphysical Sciences Monday, or also called Mental Health, Mysticism, and Metaphysics Discussion with Mike Ray and Dr. Gil Tivon. Thank you again, everybody. I hope you all have a wonderful morning, evening, noon, or night, wherever you are. See you next time. Thank you very much.